My wife's best friend sent me screenshots and said, explain this before I tell her everything. My phone buzzed during my lunch break, and I saw a wall of text from Danielle, my wife's best friend since college. She had sent me 6 screenshots of what looked like dating app conversations, and the profile picture was definitely me. The messages were flirty, suggestive, and dated from the past 3 weeks. My stomach dropped because I had never been on a dating app in my life, but there was my face, my name, and details about my job that were completely accurate. Danielle's final message said she was giving me exactly 4 hours to tell my wife, or she would do it herself. I tried calling her, but she sent me straight to voicemail with a text that said, don't waste your breath, just confess. I left work early and drove straight home, my mind racing through every possible explanation. Someone had stolen my photos and created a fake profile, which was the only thing that made sense. But when I walked through our front door, I found my wife Brianna sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open, tears streaming down her face. Danielle was sitting next to her with her arms crossed, and 2 of Brianna's other friends were standing behind her like some kind of jury. The moment I walked in, Brianna looked up at me with pure devastation in her eyes. 3 years of marriage and you've been doing this behind my back? I tried to explain that the profile wasn't mine, but Danielle cut me off. The account is linked to your email address. We already checked. I felt like I was drowning because I had no idea how that was even possible. For the next hour, they interrogated me about every late night at work, every time I said I was at the gym, every moment I had been away from Brianna. Her friends were feeding her suspicions, pointing out times I had been distant or distracted. I kept insisting that someone had stolen my identity, but Danielle showed me that the profile had been active for 5 months and had messaged over 40 different women. Some of the conversations referenced inside jokes that only someone who knew me could have written. I was completely backed into a corner with no way to prove my innocence. Brianna finally looked at me and said the words that shattered me. I want you out of this house tonight. I begged her to let me investigate, to give me just 1 day to figure out who was behind this. But Danielle whispered something in her ear, and Brianna just shook her head. That's when I noticed something strange. Danielle was holding Brianna's hand, and the way she was looking at my wife wasn't the look of a protective friend. It was something else entirely. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through the screenshots she had sent me, really examining them this time. The messages mentioned places I had never been and restaurants I had never visited. Then I saw it. One of the conversations referenced a trip to Portland last month, the same weekend. Brianna said she was visiting her sister. I looked up at Danielle. You were in Portland last month, weren't you? Her face went completely pale. Brianna turned to look at her best friend with confusion. Danielle started stammering that she had gone to Portland for work, but I could see the panic in her eyes. I kept pushing. These messages mention a coffee shop called the Copper Kettle. That's your favorite place in Portland. You post about it constantly. The room went silent as everyone slowly turned to stare at Danielle. I grabbed Brianna's laptop and searched the email connected to the dating profile. It had been created using a VPN, but the recovery phone number was only 1 digit off from Danielle's actual number. Brianna's voice was barely a whisper. Danielle, what did you do? The confession came out in pieces. Danielle had been in love with Brianna for years. She created the fake profile using my photos to destroy our marriage, hoping Brianna would leave me and eventually turn to her for comfort. She had spent 5 months building this elaborate trap, catfishing women while pretending to be me, all so she could swoop in as the supportive best friend when everything fell apart. Brianna stood up so fast, her chair fell backward. Get out of my house and never contact me again. Danielle tried to grab her hand, but Brianna pulled away like she had been burned. Brianna and I are still together, and Danielle moved to another state after Brianna exposed everything to their entire friend group.